Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Radio Free Professional Wrestling. We are a mere 3 days away from Christmas. And Ashlee, by the end of this show, I want to tell you exactly what I want to give Tony Khan for Christmas. Can you guess?
I'm a little afraid to ask at this point.
Well, I'm going to hold it off to the end of the show, but we are going to start our pre-Christmas episode by looking at the Sports Illustrated 2024 Professional Wrestling Awards. They have been released for a couple of days now. Their male wrestler of the year is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Their top female wrestler of the year was Timeless Toni Storm. And their match of the year was Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson. Ashlee, how do you feel about Sports Illustrated's venture into the Professional Wrestling Awards?
Honestly, I think a lot of solid picks on here. I think a lot of these picks we'll see maybe a little bit mirroring some of our end of the year picks, but even the ones that personally I wouldn't have picked, I absolutely understand why they're being in the spot they're in right now.
Yes, a quick rundown of these. They did Show of the Year was WrestleMania XL. Storyline of the Year was The Bloodline. Rivalry of the Year was CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. Best on the Mic, Drew McIntyre. Tag Team of the Year, Fascium. That's Nathan Frazier and Axiom from NXT. That might be the only one I question, but I do love the tag team, though.
Yeah, no, they've had a pretty long-going storyline, and I understand. There's always positive reception for their matches and for their kind of character development, developing into the tag team they've become over time. But I think that alone, could put them in that category. Maybe I would have put them in a breakout kind of category or something like that. But being as it is, I'm fine with it.
Well, I got to say, I agree with Sports Illustrated when they did their breakout star of the year being Jacob freaking Fatu. The Samoan Werewolf is definitely the most breakout star of 2024.
Yeah, definitely kind of even overshone some of the previously debuted Bloodline members, but he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the time as he just develops and gets better.
As we head into 2025 and we finally get Roman versus Jacob Fatu, that is money waiting to happen, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see it in 2025.
Yeah, they need to start working toward it.
Well, let's go to the Control Center to catch you up on the week in wrestling news. And my first story for you, my friend, this week. A bit of a sad story to start off this week's Control Center as Rey Mysterio Sr. passes away at age 66. This is the uncle to Rey Mysterio Jr. and the gentleman who had a very large hand in creating Rey Mysterio Jr. We just want to wish the Mysterio family all the best and send our deepest condolences out to the Mysterio family.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw the tweet a few hours ago from Ray's daughter. This really sucks, and like you said, just condolences and all the best to the family as they're dealing with this.
My second news story for you this week, Ashlee, is we may be gaining another Steiner into WWE, as Scott Steiner had a interview with ESPN right after his son had one of his college football games, and Brock Steiner might be heading to the WWE in the near future. We may get a second generation Steiner Brothers tag team.
Hey, if he can kind of put it together half as quickly as Braun has, put the tag team titles on him, get them going, because I want to see Braun be pushed more in a more stable top role, and if you can get him in a steady thing, even if you have him feud, whatever, this would be awesome to see.
So the story goes, the reporter asked Scott Steiner if his son was going to venture into WWE after he got done with his football career, and Steiner just simply went, "That's the plan." So, ladies and gentlemen, hold on. 2025 might be the year of the Ricketts Steiners. Okay, so my third story for you, Ashley, came from ROH Final Battle, as that very evil, very nice Danhausen made a surprise appearance in, I gotta say, the Hammerside Ballroom was very welcoming of the very nice, very evil Danhausen as he put a curse on Monsieur.
He's very over. I'm confused as to why Tony Khan hasn't had him on TV in such a long time. Ring of Honor, especially with, I think, with the kind of more serious tone of the upper card with like the Death Riders and things like that going on in AEW. You often have the premier athletes in ROH. You often have like MXM, who are very talented but comedic based gimmicks. I think Danhausen, who was already a member of ROH pre TK buying it makes a lot of sense.
I just hope it's not just a one-off, since the fact that they were in New York City and Danhausen is based up that way. I'm hoping this is a sign that we're getting back to a more traditional Ring of Honor, as we're maybe heading to Ring of Honor actually getting that TV deal, because it seemed like this Final Battle was a love letter of Ring of Honor, and also at the same time was trying to get a lot more people to look at Ring of Honor, especially with the main event or the co-main event being Chris Jericho versus Always Ready Matt Cardona. Now, granted, personally, I didn't see that match. I kind of took the siesta for about 30 minutes, so thank you, Chris Jericho.
I don't really blame you. It was the one match that I think really felt out of place on this card.
We'll have a better rundown of Ring of Honor Final Battle on our Christmas Day special with our guest, Kimmy Sokol. So you have that looking forward to on Wednesday morning. And let's go over to my final news story. And I gotta say, this was kind of surprising to hear this, but a number of top talents from TNA are leaving from the company due to the fact that TNA was trying to offer them pay cuts to stay with the company. We're talking about Josh Alexander, Speedball Mike Bailey, Jordan Grace, literally the top tier of TNA talent.
This is not I know we're going to talk about it a little more in depth. This is a crazy move by the top executives in TNA right now. You've lost some talent to injury. Contracts are inevitably going to come up and you're going to lose talent. To actively like chase away some of your top tier talents is insane. You should be offering some of these people more money to stay.
You know, it kind of it doesn't surprise me, because if you remember, it's been about a year to the day that Anthem and Scott D'Amore kind of had that falling out, and eventually it led to Scott D'Amore leaving TNA Wrestling, and that was over the fact that he wanted to take TNA to the next level, which would have cost them to invest more money to keep talent around. And apparently, we see now that Anthem is more than fine with having a stable product, as long as it's cost effective to their TV company. And literally, they are willing to let the best talent leave the company, as long as they can keep their bottom line in the black.
Yeah, this is a complete 180 from how I felt about TNA at the end of last year.
I know. Last year, this time, you were calling TNA the best company in North America, and they were on a roll. And it is crazy how fast the wheels came off of that, and they took a couple steps back.
Yeah, and this one I don't think it's necessarily going to kill TNA. I mean, we've seen TNA obviously go through worse, but they've built up a lot of goodwill over that time that I was mentioning, like in 2022 and 2023 as they were building up. And I feel like it's been flushed down the toilet recently. And to kind of push away these top talents that a lot of TNA fans are there to see is really disappointing to see.
Very true, Ashley. We will be talking more about this in the 76 questions. But before we get to the questions, let's bring you up to date on the Continental Classic Tournament as we have the updated status now. Coming out of Saturday Night Collision, we have Claudio Castagnoli with 9 points with a very questionable victory over Darby Allin thanks to some brass knuckles. We have Ricochet at 6 points as the show opened up with Ricochet versus Will Ospreay. And I got to say, Ricochet got the most New York City welcome ever.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I enjoyed that. I was mentioning at the Ring of Honor show the other night that I wanted more streamers. That wasn't exactly what I had in mind, but
well, I gotta say, looked like they were throwing 3-ply toilet paper at Ricochet. So they must have some still light for Ricochet because it wasn't like 1-ply.
Glad it's just soft though.
And Will Ospreay is at 6 points. Brody King, well, take it back. Will Ospreay is at 9 points. He's the co-leader of the Gold League. Brody King has 6 points. Darby Allin has 6 points. And Commander, even though he is the Ring of Honor TV champion, he has been eliminated from possibility of winning this year's Continental Classic.
A very well-deserved win for Commander, and I think maybe a little bit of a reward for stepping into that role and kind of jumping into the Continental Classic, even though he wasn't going to get any wins.
Very true. Now, moving over to the Gold League, we have Kyle Fletcher still at 9 points. We have Okada at 7. Mark Briscoe has 6 points. Daniel Garcia has 4. Shelton Benjamin has 3. And Beast Mortos is basically eliminated.
We could have given him 3 points, you know.
I mean, he still has 1 match. So, Tony, if you're listening to this podcast, can we not just let Beast Mortos win his last match so he has 3 points? It's not going to hurt anybody.
Right. It's certainly not going to hurt me.
So that is your Control Center for December the 22nd, 2024, here on Radio Free Pro Wrestling. We are heading over to the 76 questions. And Ashley, as we were talking about in the Control Center, TNA is heading into a change in 2025 as a lot of their top talent is leaving the company. So my question to you, Ashley, will TNA regret cutting costs and cutting their top tier talent from the company?
I do think they are going to regret this. This is too many top names to be pushing out at once. And like I said, these are like not only some of your top talents, these are some of the people that the fans are tuning in for. These are you're kind of like your top people across your engagements on social media. You've had all of this crossover with like Jordan Grace in NXT and WWE. You're really that willing to lose her to that? Like this woman has carried like helped carry that women's division for years now. Like she's been the top woman there. Like I'm baffled by this decision. Like I said, I don't think it's going to necessarily kill TNA. We've seen them just survive so much. I'm just outside of it just being a capitalistic let's save money choice, I'm baffled by the decision to actively push out top talents and push out people who are bringing in your money, bringing in your views, bringing in your merch sales.
Ashley, I feel like they're going to regret this halfway through the year when they see that they are not anywhere close to AEW's level. And a lot of people argue coming out of 2024, they had an opportunity to be the number 2 promotion in North America as AEW took a step back in a lot of fans' eyes due to their product and their choice of who they were pushing and stuff. And TNA was becoming a true alternative to what the WWE and AEW was offering. And like you said, Jordan Grace literally was carrying that company on her back for like 3 to 4 years. She would be my highest paid person in TNA wrestling if I was Anthem. Her and Josh Alexander would be 1A, 1B, the most expensive talent I have. And I would literally hand them a blank check going like, how much do you need? Let's just fill this in. And I would work my roster around those people.
Yeah, I'm it's crazy to me at a time like this where you see how competitive it is when somebody is about to hit free agency, like I don't know, TNA not even making the bid for some of their top players is concerning to see.
And look, they're not going to go out and spend money to bring in top level talent to replace the talent they're losing.
Yeah, they wouldn't even pay for people before, when Scott D'Amore was asking for more money to help bring people in.
So I got a feeling that Anthem is perfectly happy being a third North American company behind WWE, behind AEW. But if they keep that mindset, they may become a fourth or fifth in North America. Like Game Changing Wrestling might overtake them.
Yeah, and I mean, it really sucks because like all of these people are like immensely talented. We know that, but when you look at the rosters of all of the promotions, like all of the like top promotions, like WWE stacked right now, NXT stacked right now, AEW stacked right now. Like it's not that I don't think they won't find jobs; they absolutely will. It's a matter of like finding a spot for some of these people to have the time that they had in TNA to be the top people, and I think for some of these people having to make that jump there, it's going to be a lot harder.
Okay, so I'm thinking Speedball Mac Belly probably will end up in AEW. I feel like Jordan Grace is definitely heading to NXT first to
That's
spend some
gotta be a
time.
lock.
Yeah, and spend some time in that women's division before they move her up to Raw or SmackDown. And I'm ready for every Jordan Grace match in NXT while she's there because you have Julia, Stephanie Bakir, Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade. The list goes on. There's so many good female talent in NXT that can have great matches with Jordan Grace. Now, Josh Alexander might be the interesting one because he could go either to AEW or WWE, or maybe he decides to go over to the Moore's new promotion and make that his home promotion for a while.
I was just wondering about that. I haven't seen anything like about another show or anything yet, but I know Scott D'Amore loves Josh Alexander and would love to have him. And with as good as those first two shows were that they did with that, I would be very excited to see him kind of be the brand's like, flag carrier for here on.
I agree with you, Ashley. Now, if he went to NXT, I don't know if he wants to reform the North with Ethan Page, but if they did, that would be a great tag team to work around that tag team division in NXT. And them versus Frasium would be a fun, entertaining match that I wouldn't mind seeing.
Definitely. They've been apart for a couple of years, so like a reunion could be something really special.
And I feel like Josh Alexander would have to go to NXT first because Raw and SmackDown are loaded in the men's singles division. And I really like Josh Alexander's work. I just wonder where he would stack into the roster of Raw or SmackDown, though.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Like, it's not that these people aren't talented. There are just so many talented wrestlers right now. That's why, like, having AEW and having TNA along with WWE is what we've been saying we need in the wrestling world, because look at all of these people and you just physically like don't have time to display them all, like, so you need more promotions to be able to do it, and actively chasing out these people from these jobs and kind of forcing them out into the job market where they're either going to have to join one of these kind of like oversaturated rosters or go back to like indie stuff or doing whatever. just really sucks. And I'm going to be very curious to see what they do over this coming time, because like I said, I don't think these are going to be the only people they lose. So it'll be interesting to see what their plan is to do, for the 2025 at least.
Yes, this could be a very interesting time with TNA wrestling. We'll keep you guys updated here on Radio Free Pro Wrestling. Let's go on to our second stunning question. And coming out of Final Battle, we still have the forever Ring of Honor Women's Champion Athena as she defeated Billy Starks in the main event of Final Battle 2024. And Ashlee, my 3-word tweet to you was, "What the hell?"
It was. So listen, when the match ended, my instinctual was like, yes, Athena, win. And then I kind of thought about it, and I was like, that's really weird that we built all the way up to this, and it felt like this should have been it, and then they didn't do it. I'm still not upset that Athena won at that point, but then I'm like thinking, and I'm like, I think I understand it. I've had some time to think, and I think I understand, after thinking about it for more than 2 seconds, I kind of realized, one, we talked about ROH possibly getting a TV deal, and there's some rumors going around that they're close, and who knows what that means to them. If they are about to get on TV, though, Athena absolutely should be champion on television. And if that's kind of factoring into it, I'm okay with it. And also, Athena going to Japan coming up, I think it would have hurt her to lose the title beforehand. It just, I don't know. It felt like we were getting a definitive end to this, and it just it feels like now we're going to have Athena go do this other stuff for World Tour and then come back, and then we're going to pick back up with Billy Starks. But I don't know. I've seen a lot of people be really upset with this decision. So I understand it. I'm personally not upset. But it's tough to say it shouldn't have been, time.
It kind of reminds me of 1997 WCW. About the same time of the year, the event was Starrcade. We had a year build. It was Sting versus Hogan, and we get to the night of the event, and they change the booking of the match. They let Hogan go over Sting, only to have Sting go over Hogan later. And it never captured the magic like that year build up to the event with Sting versus Hogan. I kind of feel the same way with Billy Starks versus Athena. We've been on this journey with Athena and Billy Starks for over a year, as they started out as Athena being the kind of role model mentor of Billy Starks. And we saw how Billy drifted over to Athena and becoming a little bit more of a heel. Then she finally got tired of Athena's games and stuff, and she broke away. And it would have been a perfect moment there in Hammerside Ballroom Friday night if Billy Starks would have won, and we send the crowd home happy. Now, the question is, I feel like the crowd was still kind of happy that Athena was still the champion, so this might be a moot point on my part. How do you feel?
I kind of agree. And what you said at the end there is true too. I don't think anybody is really mad that Athena won. I think everybody was just expecting Billy to win. So Athena, I was genuinely like, oh, I did not expect Athena to walk out of here the champion. I thought we were going to have the switch and then Athena would go off to Japan or whatever. But like you said, though, they're running a real risk of not being able to build back up to this the way they did this time around. It's sort of a little bit like, I think what happened with Hangman when he originally won the title. Everyone felt like it was supposed to happen at All In, or All Out, but Hangman ended up having to step away, and it ended up happening a month later. But in that time, AEW got Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson, and there was a lot of other big names there that people immediately wanted to see in the title picture. And it kind of hurt to have that build derailed. I'm hoping that all of the work Athena has done can overcome that, and all of the work she is about to do going to Japan and everything like that. So I don't have any qualms. You know, Billy's only like 20 years old. There's absolutely no rush to put the world title on her, but I think it's going to happen sooner. I think it could happen after Athena comes back from Japan, I'll say.
Well, we'll put a pin in this argument for today. We'll have Kimmy Stuckle on the show Wednesday to help us break this down even more. So let's move on to my third study question. And as we approach the end of the year, I was thinking, why don't we do some predictions into 2025? And I'm starting with this one. Wardlow or Ricky Starks, who would do better in NXT/WWE?
I think it would be tough. I feel like Ricky could naturally get over more, but I think Wardlow is a little more moldable. And I think that's a quality that WWE looks for when they're trying to build somebody. But I think Ricky Starks would be like an LA Knight. Like he would just organically get himself over and get himself pushed, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like Ricky Starks would have that LA Knight kind of trajectory. They would bring him into NXT for a while, get him familiar to the WWE style, then move him up to the main roster. Then he would naturally win the crowd over, and he would be kind of like LA Knight, a solid person you have who could get a good match out of anybody. But every time I see Wardlow, I go like, if the WWE got their hands on him, he is exactly what they would want in a professional wrestler to look, to build, and all they need to do is get him in their system, get the system to work with them, and put a little hustle behind the muscle. And they can't do any worse than what AEW did with Warlord. They can't.
No, that's what I mean. He's very moldable. He's young. Like he's like you said, the physique is exactly what they're looking for. I'm hoping he's okay. I have been reading he's been injured, so it's been a long time though, so I'm hoping he's good to go soon.
Yes, me too. I was just thinking as we're getting to the end of the year, we've seen these are people we haven't seen at AEW in a good while. And I got a good feeling that Ricky Starks is basically sitting out his AEW contract until he becomes a free agent. Then he joins his good friend Cody Rhodes over there in WWE land.
Yeah, and I'm very confused with the Ricky Stark situation anyway, because a lot of that weird stuff seemed to be happening with like GCW and AEW, but then AEW had Matt Cardona, they ran the Hammerstein Ballroom, they kind of made like some references, like Jericho showed up in GCW, so it doesn't seem like there's any like real issues between AEW and GCW. So why was Ricky Starks pulled or encouraged not to go, as I think the report said? This doesn't make any sense, and I'm I have no words. Like I saw somebody kind of theorize that he might possibly come out at Ring of Honor. If you don't have the space in AEW for him, Ring of Honor would have been a perfect spot for him. If you had done it, I don't know, 6 goddamn months ago. Like I don't like. I'm not understanding what's preventing you, unless, like you said, they're just waiting. Like it's the only thing I can assume that's happening at this point. I mean, Danhausen is back, but Ricky Starks isn't.
I know it's very interesting, very weird at the same time. Literally, he could have.
Very interesting, very evil.
I mean, literally, he could have came out at Final Battle and laid Chris Jericho out after that world title match he had with Matt Cardona, and we could be off to the races. It could be Ricky Starks versus Chris Jericho for the ROH world title. And I feel like that
absolutely, and no one would question him being in that spot.
No, No, nobody would. It would be a great spot. I mean, like, you're paying this guy to stay at home. Why not have him work Ring of Honor if you don't want him to be on AEW TV? I mean, like, wouldn't you want him to earn his money instead of just give it to him to stay home?
Right. And I mean, he has history with Chris Jericho, so you already have something you can build off there. He even has a tag team history with Big Bill that you could kind of tap into. So it seemed like a slam dunk. I like I said, I guess they're just waiting, and that sucks because something has to be done about Chris Jericho.
Yes, yes, yes. We'll get to that probably Wednesday with Kimmy Sokol. Let's move on to our fourth study question. And I gotta say, coming out of Ring of Honor Final Battle, there's a matchup coming up in 2025, hopefully, and I'm kind of intrigued with it. And it's Red Velvet at the media scrum after Final Battle, calling out Mercedes Moné. Actually,
Yeah.
I want to get my popcorn. I want this match now, but I can wait till whenever it happens. This is gonna be a dang good match.
Yeah, absolutely. Red Velvet, since coming back from her injury, like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, has just quietly been one of the best women's wrestlers on the roster. And she has only gotten better throughout her time in Ring of Honor. And the past few months of her development have been so crazy good. Her character development at this show alone was so good. I am so excited for her. And as soon as she called out Mercedes Moné, I was like, oh, yes. Oh, book this sometime soon.
I mean, she's can't miss. I mean, she had that early start in AEW, got slid into that tag team match with Shaq, Jay Cargill, Cody Rhodes, due to the fact that Brandy was injured or something at the time and Brandy couldn't do it. Cody needed a partner. Red Velvet was the person they slid in there, and she knocked it out of the park. And ever since then, she has slowly developed as one of AEW's best homegrown female talents.
Absolutely. Um, Her and Layla Hirsch have been doing very well in Ring of Honor. We've already sung the praises of obviously like Athena, Billy Starks, Queen Aminata, things like that. But these two are kind of a little bit slept on, and they had a very good match the other night. They've had a lot of good matches in recent months. And I'd like to see, this is also another reason I would kind of like Athena to drop the belt, is because I want her to move up and be on AEW television. And I want some of these ladies to step up and be in that world title picture.
Most definitely. I can see later in 2025 Red Velvet be your Ring of Honor Women's World Champion. I feel like that's the direction you can go with the company.
Absolutely.
So we're moving on to my fifth study question, and keeping into the theme of what could happen in 2025. Keith Lee or Miro? Would you want one of them to go to AEW, or you want both of them to go back to WWE?
Listen, I want Miro. I've always wanted Miro, and I still continue to miss Miro. I don't know what happened with him in AEW. I it's This is almost more baffling than Ricky Starks. At least Ricky Starks, we kind of have an idea of maybe what's going on. This one, I don't know. He was on TV. He was absolutely over. He was killing it. Then they just took him off TV and haven't used him since.
I know, and it's crazy. He had such a okay. We're talking about Miro. Miro had a great character as this Redeemer, and the story that he developed for himself over the course of the Redeemer arc. And we finally got CJ Perry into AEW, and that got a little weird and crazy there. The short time that was a thing, and
That's true, that
we know they both separated. I want to see Miro back in WWE as the Redeemer with the WWE's machine behind the Redeemer character. I think it would be money. Why not predict he comes back at the Royal Rumble. He could be the surprise entrance at the Royal Rumble, and I would be freaking happy.
If AEW isn't going to use him, I would absolutely love to see him be used somewhere as long as he's still, he's going through a lot personally. We kind of know a little bit. If he's still up to it and wants to wrestle, I don't understand why AEW isn't using him. Let him go and let him go be in WWE. Keith Lee, I'm just hoping he's good. This is another one I do not understand what happened here. A lot of stuff has been cited to health issues and a lot of health problems Keith Lee has had over the past couple of years. If we're still dealing with some very serious health concerns, I'm more concerned about him, as a person than where he ends up wrestling or being under contract.
Definitely, I agree with you, Ashley. I just want Keith Lee to be good, like you said, because I got a feeling this is more health related than actually behind the scenes kind of issues with companies. I feel like this is more health issue related, and we just want to wish Keith Lee the best in 2025.
Yeah, hopefully he can kind of get a handle on whatever's kind of had him down the past couple of years, and we can see a return from him in either place, honestly.
True. So this is my sixth and final studying question, and I kind of led off the show with it. Ashley, if you could give Tony Khan one Christmas present, what would it be?
Oh, jeez. It's been a weird year, Tony.
Okay, I'll go first. It's not going to be coal. Granted, there's part of this year where I want to give him the biggest lump of coal ever because I was like, dude, you're not doing well whatsoever. What I want to give Tony is a personal assistant with wrestling experience who can take over booking one of his companies, either Ring of Honor or AEW. Maybe I give him two, and then he gets to be the figurehead. But it would be a personal
I was honestly
assistant.
thinking I had Booker for Ring of Honor.
See, great minds think alike. So are you going to go with Booker for Ring of Honor?
And then maybe a case of energy drinks, because I don't think that guy sleeps.
I don't want to see Tony Khan on a boss of energy drinks. I'm sorry. I mean, the dude is already.
I think he's already on them. Well, he's already on something.
But we just want to wish Tony Khan a very Merry Christmas, and we hope 2025 is a great year for AEW and Tony Khan, because if it is, it's a great year for wrestling fans.
Yeah, no, like I said, it's been a weird year. It's had some ups, it's had some downs, but I think over the past, I would say 2 months, I think they've gotten on a pretty solid track with their major storylines. Their pay-per-views have been pretty well built, I'd say, which has been kind of a complaint of AEW's over the past couple of years. I think truly if he can just get some help with how much he spaced, not just in the wrestling world, but outside of the wrestling world, he'd be unstoppable if he would just let somebody help him.
I know. All he needs is somebody to lighten that load just a little bit. We'll see how 2025 plays out here as we continue as All Elite.
And Tony, I'll say this. Listen, I'll give you any help you need. The only thing I want for Christmas is more Nigel McGuinness in ring. Please.
Yes, exactly. That's what we want. After that match he had with Leo Moriarty, I want to see Nigel McGuinness in the ring every AEW/Ring of Honor pay-per-view.
It's been so special every time he's come out to wrestle. But I would love for him to be on weekly Ring of Honor.
That'd be great. I would be perfectly happy with the pay-per-views, but if he was willing to wrestle every week on Ring of Honor, I would keep my Honor Club subscription going just for that.
I would pay. I I don't want to like give them ideas, but I would pay more for Nigel McGuinness weekly.
But if you haven't seen ROH Final Battle, I would tell you now it's well worth $9.99 for 1 month for Honor Club, so you can go back and watch the event.
Yeah, honestly, that one match alone, when it was done, I was like, well, that was worth it.
Exactly. That's what I said too. I was like, after that, I was like, that was my match of the night. And I was like, do I slide that onto my match of the year list in the the 24th hour of getting ready for our year-end awards? Do I go ahead and just change my mind with this match?
The literal final hours.
The literal final hours of our getting ready for the Winston Awards 2024, which should be dropping probably around the beginning of the new year on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. So, Ashlee, where can we find you on the Super Information Superhighway?
Mostly posting on Blue Sky now, and it's just at groovyash.bsky.social.
And of course, you can follow the show on Twitter at Radio Free PW. We'll keep you updated on everything that's happening with the show heading into 2025. But stay tuned. Christmas Day, we have our Christmas special. We're looking back at our big bold predictions of 2024 with a little help from Kimmy Sokol. She's going to be our judge. She's going to decide whether we get a point or don't get a point for our predictions. And we're going to make some big predictions for 2025.
And with the way this year has gone, who knows what's going to happen in 2025?
Well, I know for sure I'm not getting Okada versus AJ Styles anytime soon, so that's definitely not on my list for 2025.
I still wish it could be.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, until we see you Christmas morning, have a great start to your week and Merry Christmas.